Hello, everybody. This is Matt from That Matt 85, and today we're having a little tech chat. Oops, it's not the bear side of the mat. Let me get that off there. Okay. uh, Hi there, everybody. It's Matt from That Matt 85, and today we're having a little tech chat. We are going to be talking about the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and video games on demand. That would be the Xbox Game Pass, and it would also be the PlayStation Now. And I know some people have said that these are different things, completely different things, and that honestly is wrong. They are exactly the same thing. They might offer different games, they might have different benefits, but it's video games on demand. That's what it is. And we'll get into all this in a second here. Let's start with, because both the PlayStation Now and the Xbox Game Pass, they both affect the current console generation. They're made for PlayStation 4 and they were made for Xbox One. And personally, I have the Xbox Game Pass. I kind of just happened to stumble into it, but I don't regret it. The PlayStation Now I don't have. And we'll come back around to this, but the reason why I hadn't had them up till now is because I've been buying the games. I have a gigantic backlog of games, and I want to get through my backlog before I buy a Game Pass that gives me a humongous catalog of games that I'll also never get to. Because, I mean, if I'm going to pay monthly for a service, I want to use the service. And if I'm using the service, I'm not playing my backlog. And if I'm playing my backlog, I'm not using the service. So let's start with the next gen console wars. Why not? So here's a picture of the Xbox Series X. The black obelisk is not too I guess surprising to see what it looks like. Microsoft has a very basic kind of design to their consoles, as they also have had with their computers. And honestly, I don't really care that much. It's pretty compact. I mean, you're going to be able to fit it in wherever you want to put it. You can put stuff on top of it, around it, next to it, side by side. And I'm sure it's not going to be a big deal. And I mean, functionality-wise, that's what's going to win the day, basically. This is why a lot of products come in square boxes, is because you can ship them all really neatly. They stack up nice and neat. There's not a lot of wasted space. So honestly, I don't really mind. As you can see, it has a built-in disk drive. And we'll get to this later, but the PlayStation 5 have options for a disk drive and options for no disk drive. And I feel like Xbox learned with this, because when they were first unveiling the Xbox One, they had said, hey, we're not putting a disk drive in there. It's going to all be download. It's the way of the future. And people got pissed off. They wanted to buy the games. They wanted to own the physical discs. They wanted to be able to sell the games when they're done with it to make some money back. They wanted to be able to buy used games if it's been out for a while, so it doesn't cost as much. When you have digital only, you have Sony, Microsoft, or whoever the publishers are setting the price, and that's the only price you can get it at, and you can't make any return on it. And I understand both sides here. You know, publishers, they don't make any money off of games being resold, bought, used. They only make money off of new sales. If they do digital only, they'll be making money off of every single person that buys the game. But I also understand from a consumer standpoint, me being one, in fact, I almost only buy games used. I don't have $60 to pay for every freaking game. I don't. I usually buy a game a few months after it's come out, at least, to get a little bit of a discount price. try to beat it really fast, and sell it again really fast. It's kind of what I'm doing right now with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And hopefully at the end of the day, I end up only paying, $5 or $10 for the game. It's what I need to do. I mean, unless you want me to pirate games, that's what I need to do. And I'm not about that pirating, so don't pirate. I don't pirate. But as far as buying games used and selling them, still kind of a gray area, I guess. I mean, it's legal, but is it morally acceptable? I don't need to worry about it. It's legal. It helps me be able to afford games and so many other people, I'm sure. But you also got the market of collectors who they buy the game, they want to have it on their shelves, they want to display it proudly, they want to say they have it, they want first edition, they want new in box, whatever, complete in box. Although games don't really come with manuals anymore, but they want that displayed up proudly, showing what they got, so showing their fandom, showing their collection. That's another market of people that are going to be wanting disk drives on these consoles. I know there's a lot of comparison between which is a more powerful machine, and there's so many different ways to compare how powerful the machine is that it's not really worth comparing, to be honest. They're both very powerful. They're both very similar. One may have more processors. Another one may have faster processors. Another one may have better graphics cards. But even with as powerful as the systems are, if the games don't take advantage of this power that they have, then it really doesn't matter. And that's part of what we're going to see. But besides that, even if there aren't games I'm not interested in on the console, or not as many, then that also is going to deter me from wanting it. So let's move on to Sony really quick here. This is the PS5. Kind of on its side or whatever. All these consoles, you can probably set them upside down if you want. It doesn't really matter. Although the Xbox looked like it had vents on top, so I don't know if you really want to set that upside down or block those vents and get your system overheating. So the PS5 looks very fancy. I know there's been tons of memes about what it might look like and how it's funny. It doesn't look bad. It looks nice. It looks slick and futuristic. It's not very efficient in the same way that the Xbox Series X is. It's got these flares. You wouldn't really be able to stack stuff on it. Heck, even when it's on its side there, it's all curvy, so if you put something on there, it's just going to slide off. And it looks a little fragile, and I don't know if it is. The Xbox Series X looks like a brick, which isn't usually a good thing to say about a console, but it looks like it's durable. Whereas the PS5 looks like if I set an Xbox on top of it, it's going to crush it. But yeah, it's cool to see a futuristic piece of hardware like that. It's got the glow on the insides because that's the cool computer thing, is to have a bunch of glowy parts in your computers. Again, it's about as powerful as the Xbox Series 1, or Xbox Series X, sorry. Well, I don't know. Everything I said about Xbox could probably apply to the Sony here. PS5. Now, the PS5, this model here, I believe, it doesn't really show it, but I believe on the other underside there is the disc drive where you put the games in, the game discs in, the CDs, DVDs. I guess they're HD DVDs at this point. You can also buy a model without one that is probably going to cost $100 less. What the actual price is, we don't know, and here's why. Sony, I think, just doesn't want to set a price yet. Xbox, I think, doesn't want to reveal a price that is more expensive than the PlayStation. Of course, I guess they could walk back their price and make it match what PlayStation is, but not only is that embarrassing, it's confusing. You probably don't want to do that. Especially because as soon as they announce the price, as soon as they do, there will be a ton of pre-order Uh-oh, I'm cutting out. There we go. There'll be a ton of pre-order uh, pages with that price. People are going to pre-order it at that price, and if that's wrong, then they're going to need to be refunded and all that. It's a mess, basically, so you don't really want to do that. But here's the thing. I think if one of the consoles were to, right now, today, release a price, they would get a majority of the people that are going to try and pre-order it immediately. If they release the price at the same exact time, then people are going to choose which one they want, or possibly get both. But I do believe there's a market of people that want one or the other. They don't necessarily want both, and they don't necessarily need one or the other. They're going to put their money down on whichever one they can probably get first. Me personally, I am honestly... Okay, so this is what I usually do. I usually say, hey, I'm going to wait a little bit, and I'm going to get it after the price drops. Maybe the first time the price drops. And then I change my mind, and I try to get it last minute. Usually by that point, it's sold out, and the only way you're going to get it is by buying it for $100 or more off scalpers. Well, this year, I'm definitely getting one or the other pre-ordered as soon as I can. I'm probably going to make it mine, although maybe I will go ahead and resell it if I can make $100, $200 off of it, if demand is high enough. But if I were to choose one, I mean, I'm leaning towards Sony PlayStation 5 because I like Sony. I like the games that are on there. I like that it has huge backwards compatibility with PS4 and possibly the games before it. That being said, if Xbox did release a price first, I probably would go ahead and put my money down on that too, because Xbox also has good games. The Game Pass is really nice, which we'll be talking about in a minute here. And it's quite possible that I might get both. And it's quite possible that I might sell one or the other, or I might sell both. Again, they're both really good consoles, and I think I'm going to have fun either way. So here's a part of why I don't mind paying the money that I'm going to have to pay for the console or both consoles. And that would be the Game Pass or the PlayStation Now. But we're going to start with the Game Pass here because, you know what? No, actually, let's start with PlayStation Now. So PlayStation Now is the games on demand for Sony. They came out with this, I think, probably a little bit before the Xbox came out with the Game Pass. And my thoughts were kind of like, why am I going to want this? It's probably not going to have the... okay, so video games on demand. Here's the premise. You pay approximately $10 a month, and you have access to this large library of games. You don't have the physical discs for the games, and once you get rid of the service, you no longer have the game either. But what you do, you pick out a game on the service that you want. And this is kind of funny because I was going to say, for example, one of my favorite games, Final Fantasy. Been with Sony since PlayStation 1. But funny enough, the Final Fantasy games are not on PlayStation Now, and they are on Game Pass on Xbox. It's kind of bizarre. But let's say, gosh. What is okay? Let's say you want to play Gran Turismo 5. Let's say, I don't know if it is, but let's say it's on PlayStation Now. So you go to the PlayStation Now page as a catalog of the games that they have. You pick the one you want. It downloads it to your system just as if you bought it digitally. Downloads it to your system. You can play it. Once you're done with it, you can delete it from your system. Or if you get rid of PlayStation Now, it probably stays on your system. You just don't have access to it until you want to download it. Then delete it. So you delete it and you make room for more games or whatever. And that's somewhat like the PlayStation Online service. It comes with a couple of free games a month. And you download those games. They're yours. But if you don't have the subscription service, then you can't play the games. So that, yeah, in a nutshell, that's how it works. You subscribe, you have access to all these games, you can play them, you get rid of them, and that works for me because, again, I'm been downsizing. I've stopped collecting stuff, just because it's so expensive and it's just sitting there, and I'm kind of like, I am a collector by heart, but in reality, what is it? Just money sitting there instead of money that I could be used for other things, like by selling. Gosh, I mean, selling my stuff is kind of funding me right now since my, I guess, full-time job has been delayed since I've both moved and coronavirus hit, so my place of employment isn't open. So being able to sell some of my old collection, make profit off of a lot of it, I've been able to fund a living without a job, basically. And I won't go too much into that, but I'm doing fine. So, as I said before, I like to buy a game cheaper, play it, resell it really fast, make some of that money. Hopefully, I end up not spending a whole much money on it at all. But if you have a subscription service like this, you're buying the... Geez, okay, I'm dropping connection really bad. What is happening? Okay, I'm back. Okay, so with a subscription service like this, you're paying $10. You have access to all these games. You play it, you get rid of it. And I mean, honestly, let's say there's a game on there that you really want. And let's say that more and more, there are new games that are dropping on here immediately, especially indie developers. But a lot of times, there are older games that have been out for a year or so. They drop on here. And let's say at cheapest they'd be $20 to buy. Well, if you play that game in a month, you've saved yourself $10. I mean, granted, I try to buy cheap and sell it back, so maybe it's a little different for me. But in general, that's it's saving you money. And if you're not a collector, it doesn't really matter if you're buying it; you have access to it. Because that's kind of a fear too for a lot of people, is that you buy this digital content, and what if the PlayStation service goes down? Then you don't have access to it anymore. And that's kind of true with like the PSP. If you bought digital games on there, I think the store is closed. I don't think you can get your games anymore. They're gone. Well, on here, as far as digital goes, you're not buying the game. You're just renting it. And as long as it's there, you can play it. And when it's gone, you can't play it anymore, but you didn't lose anything that you quote-unquote owned. So let's take a look at the Game Pass really fast. Well, okay, so really fast, PlayStation Now, full of PlayStation 4 games, of course. It might have some older games. I'm not 100% sure on that. It might have PS3 or PS2, PS1 games. Not sure on that. And I would imagine once PS5 comes out, they should stock it with a couple of PS5 games at least. So that's the hope, is that I can get a PS5, not have to buy PS5 games, and already have access to a bunch of PS5 games through the PlayStation Now subscription. If that's true, that would really help me sell me on it. So let's look at the Game Pass really fast. So Xbox Game Pass works the same way. Subscription service where you have access to a bunch of different games, and you download them, you can play them, delete them when you're done. If you get rid of the service, then you no longer have access to the games. Xbox Game Pass is kind of rolled into their online service. I suppose PlayStation Now is too, because you can't have PlayStation Now without having their online service, or else you won't be able to download their games from online. Xbox Game Pass is kind of like that, where if you buy, here's the difference. I think you can buy Sony PlayStation Now and not actually have the online service. With Xbox Game Pass, if you buy Xbox Game Pass, that includes the online service. So I guess you don't have to feel like you're buying two separate things. You can buy the online service separate if you want. But Xbox Game Pass, so it has a bunch of games. You can download them. It's kind of like rental service, basically. You can download them, you play them, you get rid of them. You're not buying them. It costs, I mean, with the sale that they had when I bought it, it costs less than $10 a month. Um, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, game that probably costs about $20. Really good game, really fun game. If it wasn't on here, I probably wouldn't be playing it. But I wanted to make use of it. Originally, I had gotten Xbox Online to play, or Xbox Live to play Phantasy Star Online 2, because it was only on the console at the time and you had to have online to play it. So I was paying for the online, but then I had a free trial for the Game Pass. Kind of liked it, saw that the Game Pass was having a sale of some sort, bought 6 months of it. I think I bought 6 months of it for the price of 3 months, so I'm basically paying like $5 a month for it, which is super cheap. And here's another benefit of the Xbox Game Pass. And I know with their press conference they did not so long ago, Xbox Game Pass is going to be working for Xbox Series X day one. I know that for sure. I don't know that about PS5 and the PlayStation View, but I do know that about Xbox Game Pass. They revealed a ton of Xbox Series X games on that press conference, and at the end of it they said every single game that was on that press conference is going to be available on Xbox Game Pass day one. And again, that's a little different because with Game Pass as it is now, and with the Sony PlayStation Now as it is now, a lot of times you're getting either indie games that release for a super cheap price anyways, or you're getting games that are a year or two or three old, and they've had their early run. A lot of people that wanted to play it already bought it. But in this case, you're getting, for example, Halo 5 or whatever the new Halo is immediately day one. You don't have to buy the $60 game. You pay $10, or in my case $5 for Xbox Game Pass, and you can play it on your Xbox Series X immediately. And that's not just Halo. It's all the games that were shown, first-party games, third-party games. It's not every game, but it's a big, big lineup of good games to play immediately, and that is what is selling me towards Xbox Series X, which normally I'd probably get it after the fact. For example, Xbox One, I got that probably a year or two after it came out and got it for pretty cheap. And like I said, I'm definitely considering the Xbox Series X day one as soon as I can pre-order it. So here's another fun thing about Xbox Game Pass. They have how would I put this? Because Microsoft is so embedded with PC and Windows and all that, they have Game Pass for PC. Now, that's not every single game for Game Pass that you would be able to play on your Xbox. You can also play on PC. But it is like 90% of them, and there's some games that are on PC only. And I think that's pretty incredible for people that have a good PC that can play these games like I do. You don't even need an Xbox, to be honest. You could just pay $10, $12 for the service, whatever it is. $5 for me because I got it cheap, and play these games without needing the Xbox, like Halo 5 or whatever the new Halo, it was Halo Infinite, whatever it's called. I could play that day one from its release on my PC. I don't even have to buy the Xbox Series X, which is also something for me to consider, because do I really want to buy the Xbox Series X if I don't need it? I know there's some good games that are only on there, but definitely not all of them. Well, for example, like Red Dead Redemption 2. That is one of the few games I believe is on the Xbox One only with Game Pass. I cannot play that on the PC. I tried. However, Final Fantasy IX, really good game. I can play that on the PC with my Xbox Game Pass. I do not need my Xbox One for it. And I find that exciting myself. And people are starting to say, why should we buy the Xbox Series X if we don't need it to play these games? I would say, first of all, I wouldn't expect every game that comes out on Xbox to be available on the Xbox Game Pass. So you are going to want that console for some of these specific games, especially right when they release. Unless Microsoft really hits hard with this Game Pass, if they really, really want to push it, they could make it everything's available on your PC also. And if they do that, then, because they could do that. And if they do that, are they going to make less money off sales of their consoles? I believe, and this goes for all the companies, I believe, they don't make a whole lot of money, if any, off their console. I know with, it might have been the original Xbox, Microsoft was losing money on each console because they wanted to make it powerful, but they wanted to make it cheap enough that people would want to buy it. They made money off of selling licensing for their people that want to make games. They made money off the games that they made for their consoles. So consoles aren't really the breadwinner for profits. What that would mean is that the Xbox Series X is basically, if you don't own a really powerful computer but you want to be able to play these powerful games, you buy the console, and that's your entry. Because these consoles are just supercomputers, basically. So if back in the day there were PC games that are like Witcher 3, you can only play on PC, and you have to have a really, really good PC. Eventually it released on consoles, but for example with that, they could be like, okay, we want to release a PC game. Xbox and Microsoft are known for the PCs. Of course, we can instead of licensing a game that can be played on Windows, we can license it for Xbox, and people can play it on their PCs too. Well, some people that don't have super powerful PCs, they at least have the Xbox Series X, which is a super powerful PC in a way. And if this is the way that the platform is going, I am all for it, really. I can play the games on my PC, get more use out of my PC. I don't need to buy the expensive consoles. I might anyways, but we'll have to see how the landscape is turning out with that, with Game Pass and all that. But overall, it's saving me money. It's making it easier to get to these games. And subscription services have been the way of a lot of different things so far. I mean, you can get subscription services for foreign foods, for clothing, for beauty products, of course, for your TV packages, for movies. I mean, you can already do video games on demand here. That's what GameFly is. It's what Netflix used to be. You just add in which subscriptions you want, and when you're done, if you're like, I don't want to play Xbox right now, I don't see any games that I'm really that interested in, or I'm really interested in the PlayStation View right now, I'm going to hit them up for the time being. Then you unsubscribe and you go over to the Sony, because these aren't locking you in for like a year long or anything like that. These are month-by-month basis. Sometimes it's discounted if you buy half a year at a time or a year at a time, but it's not a huge difference or discount. So I guess overall what I'm trying to get across here is to give you a heads up on these gaming on demand. When it first came out, I thought it was kind of a dumb idea. I was more of a collector. I didn't think the games I wanted were going to be on there. I was going to pay for a service and still pay for games and not get kind of what I'm looking for out of the subscription service. But at least it's turned out to be good on both sides, and Xbox Game Pass looks like it's really promising. So give that a look if you're interested in saving a little bit of money. And hopefully we get some pricing soon so we can try and pre-order some of these newer consoles and get ready for the the holiday season. They should be releasing around November, I would imagine, early November, maybe late October if we're lucky. And I guess you might want to pre-order early because they like every year, will probably sell out pretty fast and then be scalped for a while. Anyways, thanks for tuning in for this tech chat. If you missed a part of it, hopefully it's on my video on demand here on Twitch, or you can check me out on YouTube. Look for that Matt85 on YouTube. Check me out on Twitter for specific links. I will be linking this up on Twitter also. I'm going to try and do these tech chats, possibly more gaming, well, a lot of gaming related topics. We'll try and do this, I guess, Sunday afternoons like I'm doing right now, just to have kind of a set time so you guys know when to watch. But catch me and John Bear with the Bear Side of the Mat live streaming Wednesdays at 6 Eastern, 5 Central for your update and preview for the week in WWE and AEW wrestling, news stories and I guess results. And check out if you check out my Twitter, you'll be seeing some links to the movie show that I do, Bearded Reviews with my friend Pat, that comes out sporadically. That's all the different things I have going. Yes, that Matt85 on Twitter. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know what you think about PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. Which one do you want? Do you want both of them? Which one are you going to try and get? Are you going to try and get it right away? Are you interested in the gaming on demand, such as Game Pass and PlayStation Now? Have I talked it up for you, or have I not made a difference? Let me know. Interact with me. I like interacting with you on Twitter or in the comments. And hopefully I'll see you guys again soon. See ya.